Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 158 of Moogle Go Around Radio. You know what? I keep saying it. I'm going to say it again. We're back! Again! After 2 weeks. So yeah, as always, we're back.
Such a long break. Next time we'll go for a month.
Yeah. I mean, we
a
might
nice,
soon.
refreshing midsummer's day break.
Yeah, we'll break.
2 weeks.
A
fortnight.
You can hear him already.
Have you been playing Fortnite? Because we just took a fortnight, break.
To be fair, I spent way too much money during the Dragon Ball event on Fortnite, and I don't even play the game. They know my weakness. But as you can hear, we've got I was going to intro him, but he is here. We've got the lovely and always wonderful Brian from Work to Game.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's been a bit of controversy over the stuff recently, but we wanted him on the show because we have been playing a certain new world. At least I have. I think Paul has too.
What in the world are you talking about? Controversy? Like the overwhelming 99% of me announcing my retirement was, at least for me, was received with just like love and positivity. So I don't know where you're jumping up this controversy.
But no, I've been really enjoying your. We'll go into more detail, but I've been really enjoying your new world coverage over at, I can't remember, Ginger Gaming.
Ginger World,
Ginger World.
As I've been breaking up the different gaming channels, like to have the focus, I kind of just like try to include a name of them in the game title, because it's like Ginger New World. It's like man, I don't know what to call it, and so I went with Ginger World. So for like Blue Protocol, I go with Ginger Blue. So I'm kind of just prefacing the name of the game itself, like in the title, somehow of the YouTube. Maybe I overthink it. I'm not sure.
No, I think you do okay. But no, thank you so much for joining us today. Although you have stopped playing fantasy, we do, as we are. But Paul, what you been up to before we carry on? Yeah, before we get
WoW
to the news and stuff.
And all I've been doing has been playing WoW. I've been playing WoW that much that I forgot to resub to Final Fantasy. So here's my retirement.
Yeah, announcing your retirement, going to WoW. How many videos were like leaving WoW for Final Fantasy 14? It's like, let's start rolling them out, going like, leaving Final Fantasy for World of Warcraft. What?
Oh, then it's gonna come into like, was it after Christmas? They're like, well, I'm back to Final Fantasy, guys. I returned. WoW is dead.
It's done to me. They've betrayed me for the 17th time, for the last time. But just wait for the next content drop.
So no, speaking of that, I had like 2 hours. I do got to raid in Final Fantasy. I should sub again, I guess. My retirement was ended short.
Yeah, as soon as you thought you were done, they pulled you back in.
Yeah, it's kind of back as my raid team knows where I live. So,
like, get them, boys.
But now WoW has been a lot of fun. Probably one of the best expansion to start. It was good. Not gonna lie, it was just really good. The overhaul was nice. The areas are nice. Overall, the professions, it's a great time. You get lost. I got lost just running around with my dragon, just collecting herbs.
How do you feel now that they brought back the skill trees?
The new talent system?
Yeah,
I like it. I like it for one thing. It gives you variety, and they've added stuff from Shadowlands into it. So, like, say, Druid, Convoke Spirits, it's now in your talent tree, and I think it's nice, and it gives a variety of builds. Like, I play a Warlock, I have different types of builds for destruction.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think it brings more variety. Yeah, there's always going to be that, obviously, that meta build that you need to play for raids. I mean, you can just have fun with it, like dungeon stuff.
Would you like to see something like that brought into Final Fantasy 14?
I would. I feel like the game is too dumbed down when it comes to... They just add abilities in.
I don't even think it's just dumbed down. I just feel like every job is the same nowadays. Like even Paladin, which feels like it's a little bit different, is going to be the same when 6.3 drops because they're reworking Paladin, and that's probably just going to make it like every other job that exists. So that's my main issue.
The only disagreement I would levy against that is that you could take those same jobs into PvP, and you're like, holy smokes, they feel unique. Like they feel really, really rooted in an identity, where on the PvE side, like I'm like, okay, like I might have a preference for like this slight change. And that's just kind of where I was like, I think the problem, what we've seen is them continually to add abilities, at the same time pruning abilities, and then trying to balance it so that everybody can do the raid and not feel left out, but then still missing on that aspect and requiring, kind of some big changes there. So at its core, like I'm just like, if they went with a talent tree and kind of in a way like really kind of brought abilities back to like what is a white mage, what is a dragoon, and the fact that you also have the personal limit break in PvP, like I can't praise, like when I talked about like the differences and why I prefer New World over Final Fantasy 14. A lot of that's rooted in my Final Fantasy 11 enjoyment, but that all being said, is that I said that Final Fantasy 14 I think still takes it from a PvP perspective because they really knocked it out of the park in Endwalker with their PvP changes. Anyway, those are just my thoughts when it comes down to job identity.
So Raul asked, what do you think about the upcoming changes in 7.0 they announced to Astro and Dragoon? I'm still on the fence about those, especially with Astro, because Astro went from all different cards having effects to some cards having different effects too. We're all the same.
Yeah. But then it's the actual like opener to the rotation of the Astro as well. It's absolutely my French. I'm gonna swear. Absolutely fucked. I hear my Astro who like he doesn't really play Astro. He's just playing it for this like tier, and he hates it with a passion.
I gave a lot of critique against Astro at the media tour, especially as a controller player, and it's like there are abilities that you don't need, that you don't want, except for like 1 out of every 1,000 times.
Yeah,
I have to now have that on my bar, and it's just like can't this functionality be moved into another ability? Like, you know, like there's just, and I'm wondering if we'll see that, because that's what I felt like the PvP actually delivered on. Yamarin also in my chat says that New World has a lot of custom ability that Final Fantasy 14 just doesn't have. And this is where I'd like to know y'all's thoughts about this, because raids are fun. We were doing some dungeons in New World last night. I'm hoping
before we get to that quickly, I just want to bring one thing up about Astro. You know what I want? I know as you said, there's a load of pointless abilities. Well, not pointless, but they a lot less more useful than others when it comes to, especially with Bumbloat. One of them I find is Undraw, where you throw away the card because you want a different card and you don't want that card, so you just throw away. I still wish that was a damage ability. Like, take a reference from Yu-Gi-Oh! And have it so that the Undraw is a small potency damage where you actually just throw in the card at the enemy, so that way you're getting rid of the card and it's doing a slight damage. I don't want to say like it should do as much as your normal spells, but maybe like, I don't know, 100 potency.
I'd take it. Yeah.
That way it's not doing much, but it's just doing something.
Yeah,
anyway, carry on.
Astros don't actually use that. They don't throw away the cards because they just give cards to everyone. They don't care. They just want to get the cards out because it gives you mana. And mana.
Well, you used to have to occasionally because of the whole getting the right buffs.
Not anymore. You can just do that down the line. It's just like it's pointless.
And Dragoon changes. I'm interested to see how it goes, because I'm worried they're just going to remove some of the stuff that makes Dragoon unique. Like, you still had that healing ability.
Would you like to see like the jobs get their own limit break to kind of bring in a little bit more identity? Yeah.
Yes. And
I'd like to see them get their life back as a job, not just.
And I want Bard's limit break ability to be a buff. I want them to go back to. I know this sounds weird, but remember when the game first launched, Bard's LB was a healing LB. I want it to be. I want it to not do that exactly. Like, it used to just healer LB free. Like, if you did the LB free. So you would raise. I think it's instead of raising.
That was really cool.
Yeah, I think instead of raising, I think you should just do a small heal for the group and do because the bard damage is lower than the range damage is lower anyway. So have the bard do a small heal. Sorry, carry on.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, if they let everybody have individual limit breaks, I'd love it if they gave you the ability to equip what your limit break was, right? So that way, you want to be a bard that wants to do a raise. Well, it's going to take you, like on an individual level, 7 bars to fill up for your limit break to sit on, if that's what you want. But if you use it at 3, it's going to have a different effect. So that like you as a player kind of get to have some form of control. And yes, like there's always, to the people who are like, there's the meta and the meta. Meta really matters more when it comes to matchmaking than anything else. And sure, there's going to be times where you're going to be like, yeah, I need to know what the meta is, right? But imagine doing Deep Dungeon or all the different variety of content and having, oh my gosh, a build option that you as a player get to decide what works best for you and your group. I think that would be something really exciting to see and hear, especially if it came down into forming some kind of identity. I think they've shifted more focus into, or like we got to balance the raid. We got to balance the raid.
Yeah.
Right. And I just silo the raid, like do what Destiny does and says, okay, cool. Yeah, we have all this crazy stuff, right? Like you can make your own guardian and it does all this crazy stuff. But when it comes to the raid, especially for the world first, yada yada yada, these are the restrictions. It's a curated, experience. And then after down the road, then it's like, okay, yeah, we know that's broken, like we're working on it. But I would rather have them take that approach as opposed to like everything in the game has to adhere to a piece of content that only a small majority of people enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. Talk about raids though, but I was going to bring this up later, but New World is getting raids in 2023. Well, you were discussing it a bit last night during the...
Yes.
I'm kind of excited
More
for that.
than
I want to
just
see
the
what they
raid.
do.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be interesting because I feel like New World really delivers on the PvE content in a way, like where it's like, they've shifted. Like originally they were like the survival PvP game, and then over its development, like it ended in this MMORPG, and it's like oh wow, and then you go into their dungeons, their expeditions, and you're like, these are great. Like these are some really great dungeons, and you're like, oh wow, they're really good at this. I wonder what they could do with the raid. And my thing is what I've advocated for is that yes, we're getting a raid. We're going to be fighting the sandworm. They're talking about having it where I'm using the term warband, where you have 4 parties of 5, so you have 20 people, and I'm like, just don't forsake the open world for a PvE, kind of content. And it sounds like they're not. It sounds like everybody can take advantage of this like new warband system, and I think we're going to see new mobs and enemies out in the open world, and hopefully they'll continue to add in more stuff for us to also do big bosses for us to kind of participate in, because I think it's going to be a balance, because I don't want New World to become just another in like queue for your instance and then you just go do whatever. Like I really hope that we can take full advantage of that warband system when we're running portals, when we're doing chest runs, when we're like attacking the wall and things like that. And I think that will be really exciting to see, and that UI element being a huge help overall.
Anything you want to add to that, Paul? Sorry.
No, you're good.
I haven't played much New World recently. I have been I've just wowed out. But
Wowed out, maybe.
I've just been wowed out. But I would like to not see. It's the same with like Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is then it's just the queue system. You queue into. Final Fantasy has not hooked me into logging in every day and doing something. With New World, you can log in, do something, do your crafting, do your fishing, your exploring and stuff like that. Like right now, WoW has like hooked me of logging in every day. Again, it's something that's new, but I don't know. For like New World, I knew it had dungeons, but I was just like, it's open world and just exploration point of it just like hooked me.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played it recently, but because I was playing it with a friend. But I know it has guns. I like guns. Guns are fun. It's got like blunderbuss. You got like the rifle. Blunderbuss is like my favorite because
blunderbuss is great, dude.
It's like I was talking to like my friend about it, and he was like, "Wait, they brought in like new weapons and stuff." I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, we need to go back to that game.
Yeah, I need to get back to it. I need to finish the turkey event before it goes away.
Dude, I just got my trophy.
I know. Congratulations.
I just got my trophy. Thanks, man. It's such a nice like thing to have. I love the housing system in New World. Like for everything that like I love Final Fantasy and I love my time with Final Fantasy 14. I don't regret spending any of my time in that game and its world. It's so refreshing to be in a world where they have solved some of the problems that Final Fantasy 14 has. And when it comes to housing being kind of like a real thing, housing is available. You can get 3 houses. It's really cool how they do it because they exist in the open world. But when you own the house, it's instance. Then you also have the ability to put trophies in your house that give various different buffs to you as a player. So there's an incentive for that. And I love that. I love that aspect because like people are like, oh, we have a house in 14 for the free company. And it's like, yeah, it's nice. I feel bad because I know there are people who are just like hunting and hunting and hunting because they really want to take advantage of this piece of content that is completely optional to me. But in New World, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm getting a house because there's a real advantage to doing so. And it's not, restricted. It's not like, oh, no, you can't get a house because you weren't playing the game 5 years ago. So that's something that I was like, I really appreciate about the New World housing system. And it makes me go like, man, if Final Fantasy 14 had this, if Final Fantasy 14 treated its open world with, the same amount of love that it does with its like raid content, like I think it would be raised up. It would be much more appealing to, I guess, a wider range of people. But it's hard because the game's been out for so long. To make big sweeping changes like that, I don't think would be well received by the community, because it ends up being kind of like, oh wait, what? Like that, I liked how it was, and then now they're changing it. Like people ultimately, change can be scary.
Yeah, a lot of
I
people
think
don't like change.
that's. I know this sounds weird. I think you've brought it up before, Brian, but I think that's the. As much as people dislike Eureka and Boja, I think those are great test beds for stuff like you're just talking about, because you can add them add that sort of features as a like you could add that into a whatever the new Eureka is, and then then if people like it, they'll be like, it's in the new expansion. Oh, we didn't know that. Who we would have guessed?
The weirdness about it though, because like you're right, like it's a perfect way to test something and get feedback and make adjustments, and we saw that going from Eureka to Boja. But then at the same time, it's also stacked after such a large MSQ content. And so there's a gated there, like where it's like I've talked to I felt like Eureka was their way of trying to invite Final Fantasy 11 players into 14. And I was like, I want this everywhere. I want this system everywhere, but it's only here, and it's only after you beat the MSQ, and it's only set for this level, and there's no level. It's like, oh man, like it's not that. Like it'd be so cool if there was a way to have and participate. Like imagine if that's the kind of way you like to play these games. It'd be neat if there's a way to get into that content sooner, as opposed to like, okay, go beat Stormblood. How long is it going to take me? A couple, 500 hours, 400 hours. Oh, maybe I'll just stick with 11. Like it's this weird, kind of like thing where they put that in. I wish that it was more, I guess, organically built into the core of the game, but I know why it's not. And I can understand and sympathize with the devs, on that note.
Dr. Lysis on us mentioned he's been trying to get a house since last FanFest. That's how rough it is. So and he said that there is.
Hasn't helped.
No, I bidded on. Well, I have a small. Luckily, I have a small on Aether. But even I've bidded every week pretty much. Apart from I've missed a couple of weeks, of course. But I bid most weeks, and I've not got weeks that the housing that I want is available. Should we say? And I still haven't got an upgrade yet. I wanted a medium. Well, I wanted a large, but I gave up on that. And I wanted a medium. I still can't get one. Doctor just said I think there's like 3 or 4 small. Yeah, there's only about 3 or 4 small plots available in all of Gilgamesh right now.
Man,
so
they're adding in more plots with 6.3, right?
6.3.
Yeah. Hopefully that helps. It's not going to be. It's never going to be enough based off of how it's designed, and it's like that's kind of where you're like, oh man, if we could go back in time.
But I'm going to tell you now, right? I'm
go
going to
ahead.
predict this now. There's going to be hundreds of YouTube videos whenever this housing drops, right? Saying, oh my god, all the wards are empty. Why are all the wards empty? Because nobody's bidding on these houses. What's going on? Square Enix, make them public, not FC, because there'll be the FC wards and the public wards. They'll be like that, but that's only because everyone's going to bid for the large houses again. Nobody's going to bid for the small. Well, I don't want to say nobody, but the majority will bid for the large. A small amount of people will bid for medium, and then even less will bid for small, because this will be the only time you'll have a chance to get large houses, which means for the first 3 or 4 weeks, there's going to be a load of medium and small houses open because everyone's going for the large and mediums. And there'll be YouTube videos and Reddit posts and Twitter threads of, oh my god, why are these public housing? And then when they go public housing, people will bid on the large houses and the medium houses, and there'll be smalls open. And they'll be like, oh my god, the housing system is fixed. Look at all these free houses. Nobody wants them. And then a month later, when all the small houses are taken, they're like, oh my god, the small houses, the housing system is broken. There's no housing. That's how it's going to go.
Yeah, that's exactly how it's going to go.
Housing is like never been a passion of mine, or even like I could not care less about housing. I did a couple of things where I saw how creative the housing could be. Did like a couple of videos of me like going in and rating houses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For that. And it's like,
yeah, people enjoyed that. Why didn't you do that? Keep doing that, Paul.
It's like I was looking at it and all that. It's like, I've been playing WoW. I barely look into the game, And I enjoyed that because I like to see how creative people. For me, that's not an MMO. That's like someone playing Sims. Like that's not an MMO to me. Like obviously New World sounds good because you can get buffs from it. If I can gain from my house of giving me buffs, in an FC you get buffs, but that's an FC buff. That's everywhere. You just put it on, everyone gets it around your FC. You don't have to be.
Well,
near the house.
no, there is FC housing buffs, but the issue is you only get those buffs inside the FC house itself. Like I don't know if you guys know about all the crafting items that you can place down that gives you crafting buffs.
Yeah, like that's cool.
Yeah.
But then again, I can just go do like the pixies. I'll go do that. Like
but I would because I couldn't be bothered buying gear for my crafters. I would go get the pixie quests, go back to the FC house and click the buffs and sit in front of the housing item. And I would rather have been able to click the housing item, get the buff, and then go to the pixie quest, get the quest, and do it that way. Or in the case of New World, just have the items down and not care.
That is pretty cool. But MMO, like Final Fantasy, has no exploration stuff. It has nothing to do with the open world other than hunts. And hunt trains, they just fucking swoop down, kill it, and fuck off.
Yeah.
There's nothing like.
That's always been so weird that people like try to say like, hunt trains. I'm like, yeah, I've done a few, and it's like they're not like anything I've experienced in New World and in Final Fantasy 11. Like I know a lot of people seem like are sour to New World because they've been told that they should not like this game, or they're just like kind of in their tribe. But like at its core, Final Fantasy 11, it's like, oh my gosh, like the open world was wonderful and things were happening in it, and it's like in 14, it's like. There's this train that kind of goes around. Okay, that's that's neat. But how many times do you do that? Like, because it's like, okay, and then why isn't that more of a thing? That's where it's like, man, if they had the game like Eureka in a way, it's like that would be. I would love to see an open world with that, or at least as an option. But it is what it is.
Well, Brian, we have the job for you. It's called Blue Mage.
Yes, Blue Mage was beautiful in the open world. It was beautiful, and it was like, this is a lot of fun. And the problem with Blue Mage is it eventually hits a level cap, and so then you're not like, there's no reason to stay out in the open world like leveling as a Blue Mage, because like that would be some really interesting content. And then like I really would love to see them expand on the limited job system. That's kind of what they hinted at originally, but I mean we haven't seen any kind of updates or any kind of talk around that as of late.
Also, we were robbed of the.
Like the same with WoW. Like the WoW's open world has so much quests, so much minions, hunter pet, and stuff like that in the open world. Archaeology in all that, like that shit's so good. Like Final Fantasy, you have nothing to do in the open world. I could just sit at my FC house, get my buff, do my dailies, and that's fucking it. I love the game. The story was amazing. Don't get me wrong, the story was amazing. The dungeons are good. The raids are good. That's all it's bloody got. Oh, and now the PvP's good. But you got in my class. You've made cover absolutely fucking worthless. Destroyed the things I love most about Final Fantasy. And so I've like branched my horizon, which everyone should, honestly. Branch it, I don't know. And then I've been seeing a shit ton of modders for the game, for like Final Fantasy stuff. Like every like screenshot artist, all that. Like there's stuff out for that, and I'm like, oh, people don't get like the customization like they want for their character. So they just like doll up their characters to look like Barbie dolls and shit like that. And I'm saying, is this a fantasy game or Sims at this rate?
Like, I'm not gonna be disappointed that people play it that way. Like that's like that's cool. That's an option that you have. But it feels like that's become the thing. Like, you don't glamour, you don't raid. It's like, nah, I'm not really into glamour. Like, okay, I've done raiding. It's like, oh, you haven't done enough raiding. Like, well, how much is enough? Like, it's just not something that I find interesting. I found it more interesting in ARR when it was an actual raid and not like a trial fight. And I found it interesting, when it came to Alexander, but then it slowly became a trial fight, and people were justifying it like, but they got rid of the trash, they got rid of all the boring stuff. No, they took away a part of its character. Like a part of its character is that if I like we have trials, those exist.
I agree in a way.
Now I'm griping.
No, it's fine. How about this? I agree with them with the fact that I don't like the idea of too much trash in raids. But this is why I agree and disagree with you. I agree with that because I don't like it, but I disagree with everyone not completely, because there's story raids and then there's the savage raids. So I would like for them to add the trash back and add the elements of that to the story version of the raid if they want to, then the savage version can skip the trash and go straight to the raid bosses. that would, in my opinion, be because
I think that'd be a fine compromise, because that sounds like it allows there to be some kind of buildup and some kind of anticipation and some kind of mini boss, and
yeah,
it allows for more movement as opposed to like, here's the arena, here's the boss,
yeah.
let's learn the dance.
Because as a Savage player, chances are you're just trying to get your weeklies done over and over again.
You're just, and that's like, and that
Yeah.
also in my mind just frustrates me. Like when it comes to like, gotta get the weekly in, gotta get the daily in. It's like,
Yeah.
gotta do my chores. It's like, interesting. Like I don't play, New World doesn't play that way. It's like, I get in and then it's like, and then what happens. It's not like I gotta go do these 10 things and then do that. And they have some of that. Like you get some bonuses for doing like the first couple of quests that you do, but you could still go and continue to do those quests. It's not like, all right, there's no reason to do that anymore. And it's like, okay, yeah, like if you want to go and take advantage and be efficient, you can. But like, I really enjoy that, the aspect of every time I get in, I sometimes I don't even have a goal. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden it's like last night we were playing and ended up running the Lazarus, expedition. And it was great, but we were doing this and then it evolved to that. And then somebody said, hey, let's go do that. And then we went and did that. And it was like, this is great. Like it was a really good time.
Yeah. By the way, I know it sounds, but we've got a few comments here, but Karen, Paul.
I was like, you don't get that on Final Fantasy. It's like people have seen me after raid, me and we do an expert. It's like, yep, that's it, job done. See you next weekend. It's nothing like maps were fun.
Maps are really fun.
Maps were fun, and they're bringing some new maps. Like,
Elpis related maps.
Yeah, it's like stuff like that. That's fun to do. I enjoyed it. Next, you make a little bit of money there. And then fishing. I think fishing is way more fun in other games than it is in Final Fantasy right now because there's nothing to do.
Well, and the problem ends up coming down into it, and this is like how systems and everything interacts. A lot of people were just like, oh, we hate player-driven economies. It's like they require work from the developer. There are risks to a player-driven economy, but there's a subconsciousness that applies to it. So if there was a constant demand, especially for a wide range of fish, like fishing then adds another level of value. And that then connects into if, Gil was able to do more than just get you slightly caught up on your gear. Like if a crab, and this comes back down, like all of this is so interrelated to where it's like, it's hard to have a conversation with someone who's like just all in on Final Fantasy. Like Final Fantasy 14 does everything perfect. There's no reason to discuss anything else. It's like, I can't talk to those people anymore because like there's just nothing there's no room there. But then it's like a gear. And a lot of people are like, oh, Brian, you just want people to hand you the gear and you don't want challenging content. That nothing could be further from the truth. My rebuttal is, what is challenging content? Because what is challenging to you might not be challenging to me and vice versa. But then how is this decided? And I think the real key problem is that gear is so flat. It just has stat points, right? So that is the only real true form of progression is in those stats. There's no real perks that really make a piece of gear unique. Like if you want to lock the hardest and coolest and the best in slot gear behind the raid, you could do so, but you got to have if you had a perk system or something like that, a trade system on the gear, then that gear can exist in that way. But then you can have a gear with the same similar stats with different perks that might not be considered best in slot, able to be crafted up. So then you as a player have the choice and you're not capped at power. You're just capped at various different like perks. And that's something that New World offers like greatly. So that like, yeah, maybe I don't have time to go run that piece of content and get that piece of gear. But then that ties back into the economy, and then that ties back into the crafting and gathering. And these systems are so disconnected that you say that there's nothing to do fishing wise. Like I can fish up legendaries because I can take the fish that I make, I can turn that into money, and I can use that money on things that I want to upgrade. And they might be best in slot, they might not be best in slot. And that means that my time I get to choose how I invest my time in the game. And therefore the game it respects my investment of that time, rather than like ultimately respects my time, trying to be like, we're trying to make it easy for Brian to jump in and play. It's like, okay, like I have games that do that. Like I'm looking for an experience that just I get lost in,
We do have some comments on Twitch. I know on your channel as well. So Dr. Deliciousness says, being a former Fantasy 11 player, I approach zones like you did in 11, being careful to sneak around and not pull aggro. I don't think I broke myself of that habit until late Stormblood. Yeah, I think even some of Realm Reborn was kind of like that in a way. Not exactly, but it wasn't as dangerous. But like I remember doing the 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 in the shroud, the tribes there where you had to sneak around because they would give you heavy and stuff like that, and it was really frustrating.
Yeah. With the toads as well, like the toads like lick you and all that, and like bring you
Yeah.
back in and then AoE. I was like, oh, please don't do that to me.
The world was
Um,
dangerous in 1.0, and that's kind of
Yeah.
the thing. Like, as
The world was dangerous
1.0 needed to be remade, but man, there was a lot of things that I think the game lost, and that's obviously due to the insane job that the devs had to do to turn it around to save the company and to save the brand. You know, so it's like I don't bemoan them for that, but it's like at the end of the day, like, man, yeah, like there were like I think there was like a level 80 or 90 or like something like enemy in one of the zones, and the level cap was 50. You know, so it's like if you as a group want to get together with other groups so we can go try and take this guy out, and so like there was enemies that could just like flat out, and especially because how the class and when the job system was introduced, got introduced, is that jobs for parties and classes were like more for your solo builds. And it was interesting because like if you were trying to go play a black mage out in the open world solo, like the game would punish you for it. But then you could go play a thaumaturge and you can take a couple of skills that kind of mitigated that. So there's a lot more player choice, obviously, in 1.0, but it's such a bummer because there were some interesting things that they were trying to do that just didn't work. And if they were given another shot at it, I think they could have knocked it out of the park.
That's what I'm
reading
like WoW right now with that.
Yeah.
Because with WoW, I have different builds. I have my questing build where I'm out in the world questing and running around doing world bosses, doing like world quests and stuff. And then I have a dungeon one, like build that has like different like abilities, like AoE and all that. And then I have my raid one, which is like mostly single target and all that for raid. Like I wish Final Fantasy had that. I think that would have been fun, but they had to have more open world content for you to kind of have that.
By the way, there's some comments on the Work to Game chat. Do you mind if I bring those up? Because I've
Bring
been
them up,
both.
man. Bring
Okay.
them up. I got both.
Switching Mark says, "Man, I love this game so much. Got like 4,000 hours, but I'm on the verge of quitting. I joined a streamer server for the fresh knowing maybe they'll die, but in the end, at least they'll be merged into other fresh servers as promised. But now they want to merge them into legacy servers."
Is that a new world thing or a
New world?
That's a new world thing.
New world.
The problem with the fresh start was like everything that I detailed out, and it's the lack of crossplay and the fact that the crossplay stuff is scheduled for July. It's just going to be a kind of a pain point within the community for a little while. Now, at 4,000 hours, clearly you've played more than I have, but then my life does not permit me to like game and to that level. I would say like it's perfectly fine to take a break, especially if you're getting burned out, and especially if you're frustrated. If you're finding fun and joy, lean into that. But there's also a lot of really good games right now, Switch, that you could go jump in and experience and enjoy. And the game, I would say that I think the devs for New World have proven that they're in. Amazon's all in on gaming, and the game in and of itself also shows that people are willing to come back and check it out. So I would say like you're perfectly safe to say, you know what, maybe right now is a good time to just take a breather and go play something else and go enjoy something else, and then like come back and check out the game in the spring or in the summer, or maybe like just take a break and then this week come back to the winter conversions and then take your break, so that way you don't miss out on the seasonal event. And then it's like and then that way when you come back you'll be excited to play. Ideally they've fixed the merging and all that kind of evens itself out, because it naturally will. It's just a function of time. The worst part is usually the first 2 weeks. Go ahead, Chili.
I would like the ability to be, because I made the character to try the game out. I still need to go back and make more videos about it because I've enjoyed it. I would like them to just give me the ability to switch to a legacy server if I want to. I find that weird that I don't have that option. Like, I understand why they won't let legacy servers move to new start, because that's the whole point of it. But as a new start player who wanted to try the game before I went into like a proper server, I would like now the ability to pay them money so that I can move to a legacy server. If I,
Yeah, because
I don't want it to be forced.
Sound like it doesn't sound like you're gonna break the game that way. Now, going into a fresh start would break the game, because you're like, hey, I'm bringing my high level character that's got all these materials and like
from what I've heard, from what I've heard on a lot of servers, that's actually happened anyway. Not that they've moved them over; it's just that a lot of people that were playing for a long time have gone back to joined fresh start servers just so that they could run the economy, because they've had the advanced knowledge.
They have the knowledge. Fresh start is like how you can't delete someone's experience and knowledge of the game. Where like a true fresh start would be like brand new game, brand new server, etc. But I think it was the right call for them to do because clearly it was working, but they need to get those servers merged because there was always going to be like a, again, that spike and then that crash. And then it's like, okay. And then being that there's no cross play on servers, being on a small server is more punishing than it needs to be. And once they get the cross play involved, then you're not cut off from content, and then you can do the content.
Yeah, but we'll do say congratulations on 100,000 players because I think that was the peak, wasn't it? Or did it go
137,000?
There we go. Congratulations on 137,000.
Yeah.
And about the Fantasy 14 open world, I think that the issue with the open world, especially for Danger, goes back to the vertical system because we've all played the game. I think we've all played the game a little bit, a few hours here and there.
Is it like 10k hours?
few hours here and there. And I feel like the launch of an expansion, the new world, the open world, not new world, but the open world does feel a little dangerous because it's scaled to the correct eye level that you're going to be until you reach start doing the end game stuff, and then it kind of gets a little less dangerous. But I feel like I do find myself in a little bit. I'm not saying it's like as bad as some of the other games, but the problem is that all the zones have come out at the expansion launch. So in a year's time, the gear is so much more high level compared to what the game was when it first came out, that expansion. The danger's gone because even the crafted gear that you can buy is high enough to make everything really simple. And I think that's the difficulty when it comes to the vertical system in 14 and keeping everything being dangerous. Because how do you make stuff that's powerful when they're going to be jumping eye level through the entire expansion?
I can tell you right now.
How?
You balance the open world for a full party, and then what you do is you give players the ability to take AI trust. The game design it still keeps it in that sense, but when enemies are designed where like any job can clear them, you won't have danger. The danger comes into the fact is like you as a player don't have everything you need to succeed, and so it helps, and you rely on other players. Does that kind of system work in today's modern MMO? No, because honestly, I think the MMO landscape in terms of that demand has always been a vocal minority. And the question is that does that minority have the size enough to support the development where when you look at vertical and theme park progression, like clearly that is able to attract the masses. But my solution, I think, is a technological solution where you take AI and you take game design and you say, okay, fine. Like, we're going to design the world that an enemy is assuming, balance wise, just like you do in an instance fight, that there's going to be 8 people beating on them. So they're going to be really tough. And you want to have a healer and a tank, and you want to have a support. And if you have that kind of design balance for the open world, and then you give players the abilities so that they don't have to rely on others, like they could bring in AI. In a way, my true solution would be this. Imagine if you could take your friends with you even when they were offline, so that as Chili, you played the game is learning and it's building your avatar, like kind of, you think of the Horizon Drivatar system, but it's building your it's building your MMO, avatar. And I'm playing and hey, you're late, you're at work, life happens, right? Oh, I can still play with Chili, and it's like, okay. And then you get in and it's like, hey, you're gaming with Brian right now. You want to just jump on in and take over, like, I think that would be the solution to the open world balance, that a player can still play. They can have their party, and it doesn't have to all be like real players. You could say like, okay, I'm going to build a party, of my AI. I'm going to name them, I'm going to equip them, I'm going to level them up. And then if like, hey, Chili gets online, I'd rather play with you than my AI. And then you kind of have that mix and match. And I think that's one of the things that's interesting about Final Fantasy XI's trust system. It's like, I like the trust system. It's interesting. It allows for me to go jump in and start playing. And then as people get online, a bot doesn't have their feelings hurt by getting kicked out of the group. All right, like, get rid of them. Like, all right, cool, you're coming. What role? Okay, cool, we'll do this. And I think that ultimately would be the problem to solve, the solution to solve. But also, Chad brings up that Guild Wars 2 has that kind of level in the open world. And I agree. I think Guild Wars 2, when it comes to open world, funneling people into the zone, like, where it's like, hey, we want to make sure the zones are populated. I think that's genius, and I would love to see more games, especially even New World, do that very thing. Like, like, hey, let's just pull from Final Fantasy. Like, that's why Final Fantasy 14 went with the instance server for Eureka and Boja, is to ensure that there are people in that zone. And if they were able to just do that automatically, as you're like, if you're on a data center and it's just like, yeah, we want to make sure people are in Limbs of Lamenza. We want to make sure people are out, at Brayflocks. We want to make sure people are here and there. Like, it could just always make sure that there was a certain amount of people before it said, hey, we need to make another instance version of the server.
Talking about stuff like that as well, though, you've also got ESO, which is another unique way of doing it, because with how that is, everything sort of syncs to your level. So, like,
It's true.
You can go anywhere in the world to get, like, a level 1 person can go pretty much anywhere in the world with their level 60 friend, and you'll still do about the same amount of damage to the enemy, because there's the sync system where it'll be a level 60 enemy for the person that's 60. Oh, well, it'll be higher level, should we say, for the person that's level 60, and it'll be lower level for the person that's level 1. So that way they can go out and explore together. That's one of the reasons why I thought ESO was pretty cool. So
yeah, making it easy. Like, at the end of the day, like, the rules, I think we could really kind of hammer them out. Like, people just want to be able to get in and play, and especially if they have friends, they don't want to have to coordinate what servers and stuff like that. Like, there's people who are attracted to the idea of, like, server culture, but when we talk about minorities and minorities, that's the niche within a niche right there. Because ultimately, like, if it's like, hey, I just want to play, the fact that people will come into chat and say, hey, what server are you on? Like, ultimately, if it was like, hey, yeah, this is my in-game name, cool, boom. And then no matter where they are, what server they're on, they're like, hey, I'm going to invite you to party. And then we're just gaming together. Every barrier, every, kind of piece of that ends up just causing people to be like, wow, it's not really worth it, because the reality is other games make it easy. Destiny 2 makes it very easy for us to game together, and we don't have to worry about server infrastructure and any of that. It just is like, all right, content. Well, that's its problem. Like, it has content once a year with the expansion, and then the question is, they need to rework their seasonal model 100%. Yeah. I think that would make it more attractive to me personally, but I've ranted about them, plenty. So, oh man, like, I think when we look at it, it's like, yeah, and the question ends up being is that I like New World's sandbox content. I like the territory control system, and I think it could be vastly improved on. And again, I go back to, like, man, they should take a look at Final Fantasy 11, where Final Fantasy 11 allowed that PvE players to have an impact on territory control. And they, like, there's a reason to go out in the open world. And then you start bringing in Guild Wars systems. These are all things that I would love to see in 14 as well. But then, like, the fact that there's a wolf, like, here on my screen, and he's just walking around. He's been there for a while. The longer an enemy is spawned in the open world should give you bonus experience for killing it. And then you have a system that rewards you for experience, especially post level 60. And there's a reason to run around the open world and farm up, enemies, especially if they've been in an area where no one really goes to farm. And then you can kind of find those areas and get, like, big bonus experiences. And it could be a whole piece of content that players decide to do on their own. So these are like, the thing is, it's so funny. It's like, I praise Guild Wars 2 so much, and I don't understand why I stopped playing that game. It's because it's like, I'm like, oh man, Guild Wars 2 like knocks it out of the park here. Oh, it's great over here. And then it's like, why aren't you playing it? And I'm like, I don't know.
I can answer that.
Why?
Controller.
Well, that's one reason. But I'm playing Embers Adrift right now, and that's like hardcore Final Fantasy 11. It does not have controller support. Oddly enough, the left and right sticks do work. And so I've been on the forums going like, yo, can y'all just, like, even if you don't want a UI, could you just map it so that this button does this and this button does this and this button does this? Because, like, I still will use a keyboard and mouse when I'm going to craft or something like that, but it'd be kind of nice to kick back, relax, go grind on some mobs, because you go grind on a few mobs and then you're like, okay, my HP's low. I'm going to go sit by, I'm going to go rest now. So it has that old school, really old school feel.
Paul, you've been quiet for a while. Is there anything you want to say? Sorry,
Paul.
I've just been chilling.
Okay.
I had a whole bag of squashes while we were talking.
Oh, snacks.
Yeah, I've tried to use the controller support through Guild Wars 2 on Steam, and that's why I was really excited it was coming to Steam. But then it's not like cross saved, so it's like a whole new account. So I was like, okay, because I was like, I'll get this on deck, I'll do this, and then I was like, well, okay, well, and then I know you can kind of add it, and I've just struggled with it. I've been I've been doing a few tutorials, and I'm doing something wrong, and just like it drives me nuts, and it eventually frustrates me, and I give up, and then I'm like, I'll just go to New World. Makes it easy. It's like, but I would like to jump back into Guild Wars too. I keep saying that. I just, oof, man, like,
Time.
I'm time. Time is
I've said that
Yeah.
many times because I loved Guild Wars because of its their PvP, their big open world war-like PvP, where you have to like defend a fort. You know, the fort could be like I enjoyed that back in the day. Like people would like hop onto like Discord or TeamSpeak. I think it was like TeamSpeak at the time when I played.
And
we would
Ventrilo.
just- and we would just world v world was insane because you would have this like guy that's like maxed out and he becomes like the commander, the leader of the like your world, and he's like gets sprouting orders. I was like, no, this is cool. But the reason I stopped playing it is because it kind of like got dead. Like my friends weren't playing it and all that, so I was like, I guess if I go play a different game.
And Guild Wars 2 does, they make it easy to get into it. Like, even if your friends come back, people are like, what server you're on? Doesn't matter. Like, it only matters in World v World. And so if we're not doing that content, it's like, just jump on in. The game's going to let us play together regardless of what server we're on, which is really nice.
I've got to give a shout out to Pharmacy 14 for that. Although it's slowly doing it, it means a lot less now than it did originally. And they have started working on... They have started on regional data visits, center visit as well. So...
Yeah, I think that's going to be really important. I really kind of hope they go to the mega server architecture because I think that would be very healthy for the game.
It would be nice. I would like to play with a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
We could play together, Paul.
Well, I mean, we could, but I haven't been on like Global Moogle in like years.
No, I meant if they added the regional data center thing.
Oh yeah, if they added that.
Yeah, because I play on North American servers, as everyone knows, because I'm strange.
Strange British man.
I'm
We're
like,
drinking our coffee. He's bringing his tea. You know,
I've got a raid.
we throw it.
20
We throw it
seconds
in
in the future.
We throw it into the end of the bay out of protest.
It's okay because
Down
I
with
was
your
actually.
king!
It's fine because you threw it at the end of the bay, but I was just stood underneath the bay with a bag.
There you go. Like, let's go.
Free tea.
Free tea. These guys are giving away tea. When did we lose the accent though? Like when did when did
Which accent? We've got so many.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, when did like that? You know, because like obviously it's really interesting because like there's still, especially in America, a predisposition to anybody who has any of the British accents, like to have like, oh, they've got some kind of authority. Like it's just fascinating because we're like, oh yeah, I'll listen to that guy. I find myself doing it. Like if you gave me a lecture on the same topic, you know, it could literally be like the same two different people reading it, and you get somebody with an English accent. Like I'm like, oh, this is definitely like I don't know. There's something about it. And then here we are as Americans, and like I got my Tex Central accent. Like especially it's kind of fun. Like when I do my comedy shows and stuff. Like sometimes I'll just dip in more and let Tex and let the Fort Worth. I always say it's time to drop the D and bring out the Fort Worth. And it's like, all right, let's go, boys.
I mean, I do that. I change accents like every now and then. I'll start going a bit more like Irish and like, you know, from a fucking Huntoy, but on and all that. I just do it randomly. I need to stop doing it because my mom's like, hell you. She looks into my room and I'm sitting there, like, doing random accents and stuff and she just like stares at me. Yeah.
But to be fair though, you also balance out the fact that then all your villains have British accents, so
yeah, you do make a lot.
All the Bond villains, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not even then. A lot of American villains just slap a British accent on it. Fine, it's evil now.
We're either learning a lot about the world or, oh my God, this man's a demon. He's trying to take over the world. Well, is that just more like into kind of the stereotype of British colonialism? You know, doesn't that play into the fact that y'all at some point did basically control the world?
We are pretty evil.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Like at the end of the day, I don't know. It's like what did people want to have happen? It's you know, like there wasn't like systems and ideas that were in place there. It's kind of like saying like, oh, you didn't know how to read in kindergarten. Like it's, you know, you didn't know how to read like Tolkien or anything like that. Like as a species, like we've continued to develop, and it seems strange to me. Like I think we could learn from our past and say like, oh, maybe that's not something we want to do, but like to be like, all right, those people were evil. It's like, I don't know. It's like
a lot of things to take from the past that we shouldn't do slavery or that.
Yeah,
you know?
agreed.
But we should kind of like try and
it still exists today, and that's the wildest thing. Like it's like, and it still exists today. And my fear and what I talk with like my wife about is like, like we have to be diligent because I think there is a predisposition for like humans to like want to kind of like control other humans. And it's like I could see that like with a lot of bad choices that humanity could go backwards as opposed to moving forwards.
Isn't it like the primal instinct of like a human is that like, well, any, like there's always got to be a predator and there's always got to be a prey kind of thing. Which is weird, very weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, Doctor, this is authority intelligence. So if you want authority intelligence, please don't join Moogle Go Around Radio. We don't have that. We just play video games and talk about video games occasionally.
Speaking of video games, there's going to be a lot of less and less Final Fantasy coming out from.
Did I start something unintentionally? I've seen so many people like, yeah, I think I'm going to leave Final Fantasy too. So many people have followed me in the New World, and it's so funny that people have been trying to meme on me, and I'm like, I don't think you know. I enjoy your view. But like, there are so many people that are like, "Oh my gosh, Brian, you're right. New World is so good."
Like, wait a minute, he might have a point here.
Well, that's the thing. Like anybody who's not like who actively is like interested in having like a real serious discussions, like, okay, I get what you're saying. As opposed to like, there's been one guy in Yemrin was kind of laughing. It's like this like literally just trying to dunk on me, and every dunk is like, "Thank you for proving me right." Like I'm like, I don't know how to like. I'm not trying to be like an asshole, but continue. People are like, "Oh, you're thin skinned." I'm like, that's news to me, man. Like, it's like, go ahead, say whatever.
If you were thin skinned, you wouldn't be doing your comedy club stuff.
Oh, dude, I love doing comedy, man. I love doing comedy. If anybody's listening to this in the Fort Worth area, by the way, like a plug, January 21st, I'm going to be at Hyenas in Fort Worth. It's going to be an adult show, so if you are unfortunately thin skinned, I would recommend you don't come. Because it's just not gonna be fun. It might be more awkward, but if you want to laugh at a fat ass ginger, like, come on.
Only 2 days before my birthday as well. So
all right, turn of perpetually 29. I mean, is that what we're saying? Is that cool?
Wish 36. So
36. Nice, man.
Yeah,
very
getting
nice.
closer to the 40. I'm scared. Scares me. I'm looking forward to being in Spain though next month. So.
Oh, what are you doing in Spain?
Just going there for a visit. First time for a long time that I'm going away just to go away. So I'll be there for about a week. So I'm excited.
Well, cool.
I got it for
Hopefully
really cheap, so I'm worried about. I got the week with the flight for £100 in total.
I don't know what that is.
Well, with how the pound's crashing, that's like $2.
Oh, okay.
No, it's about $110. I think it is.
Oh, that's. Oh man, I mean, it would cost me way more to go to Spain than $110.
No,
enjoy.
1 second. Let's double check. Yeah, I'd say that. That's
$123 for like $20. So
$123.
I don't know if that's equivalent. I don't know if that's equivalent. So Oklahoma City, here I come. Let's go to Bricktown, baby.
To be fair, it's cheaper for me to go
to this knows what Bricktown is, and they're like, "Oh, I know what that is."
But yes, I'm excited for that. Cavion said you missed a good time to try Star Citizen. It was free for a few weeks last week. Now you would have to buy a ship package to play it now. Yeah, there was some free.
I'm fine with buying
weeks.
it. Is it worth me purchasing it? That's what I would like to know.
I've been a little bit. Yeah, it looked okay on me. Any stream
flying around in a spaceship, right? Right.
Yeah,
but what kind of game is it though? Like, I literally am completely like
open world space questing simulator. I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't understand. It's like a space online. It's got. I think it has MMO elements because I think there's other people. You can meet other people, but
yeah,
it's so big that you're not going to meet them that often, or at least
it doesn't have a
from what I
player-driven
could tell.
economy. I really probably just gonna be like, I'm good.
I think it does. I don't know. I haven't looked into it too much myself because I've got No Man's Sky. So
it's something that I'm willing to check out. I want to check out. So I've been playing Embers Adrift again. Like, I'm not even level 3, and I'm like coming up on 4 hours played. I did spend like an hour and a half trying to get controller play to work. So like there is something on that. But then like I also want to check out. I have Albion Online. So I have that downloaded. I haven't started it. And I was like, I want to check that out. Like, there's a bunch of things like I like to get like a better knowledge because like I was so ingrained in Final Fantasy 14 for so long that it's like, okay, yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, this game does that or that game does that. And I want to have a better, well-rounded approach. But then also, like, I think I'm really addicted to New World, which is like, oh man, what do I want to play? And it's like, that's what I want to play right now. And I want to get caught up on. I'm looking forward to checking out the next Destiny season as we build the Lightfall.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna spend that much time into it, but I actually just got it set up last night. I got a Logitech G Cloud, which like works on Game Pass and GeForce Now, and apparently it works. It's Android, so I just downloaded Final Fantasy Tactics to it. So I was like, all right. So I was kind of playing around with it last night. Like the only thing I could say about it is like, when it comes to that versus the Steam Deck, like the Steam Deck's form factor, I like more. The Logitech is way lighter, obviously, and the battery life on the Logitech lasts. It's insane. Like it's an insane battery where it's like, playing a game on the Steam Deck, I get like 2 hours. Yeah, it's all cloud. It's all calculated elsewhere. So it's like, oh yeah, I played like a couple hours and maybe I used 1% of my battery. I'm like, okay. So there's like pros and cons in that regards, but I'm looking forward to kind of like playing around with that system more this weekend. That's where it's like all these games I need controller play. Like it's like, if you're launching a game, launch it with controller support, please. Thank you very much. That's my tip.
As a also controller player, please do that.
As a mouse and keyboard player, I'm very bad with controller. I cannot play MMOs. I can barely play God of War.
I mean, you've seen me play an MMO with a mouse and keyboard, Paul. It's not even playing.
It was terrible. Terrible. You play that.
Nah.
So I can barely play NBA on my controller. Like, obviously, I have a PS5. I was playing it moments ago before we started doing this, and like that's like the equivalent of how good my controller play is because I'm playing that. That's literally it, and it's a sports game. So because I was thinking about getting a couple of games for the PlayStation because I was like, oh yeah, because my old P wouldn't be able to run games I want, but now as I have my new baby, I can. So Midnight Suns that came out yesterday. I'm going to be buying that for Christmas and playing that. So more or less Final Fantasy 14. Final Fantasy is not keeping me in the game. I think the one thing I'm looking forward to is patch 6.3, which is
what's going to keep you in the game in 6.3 that's not keeping you in the game now?
Deep Dungeon.
Yeah, Deep Dungeon.
Is that going to keep you in the game, or is it like what about Deep Dungeon keeps you in?
At least long enough for me to. Sorry, Karen.
Honestly, it's just one. I can do it solo, and that's the challenge. One, I don't mind the story because I want, even though it was kind of. But other than that, just playing with friends because I have a lot of friends that like playing Deep, and I like doing Deep Dungeon. It's just fun. But then again, I barely play the game now. I want the changes where it's like that and the Paladin changes. Because if they mess around with Paladin even more or make it a bit more nicer to play rotation, hectic. I would say hectic, it's weird. That's the only thing that's kind of keeping me in the game. That and raiding. That's it. So I enjoy raiding with my friends. That's literally the end. There's no story. We're building up. We just ended a big story of Zodiac and we've done that. Now we're just waiting for the next expansion where it's new. A new story from them. That's what we're waiting for. It's like a story game now, not a Final Fantasy. It's not an MMO. It's just a story game. Other than like
that for a lot of people. I think it's that for like the vast majority of people. And then what happens is like you get people and they're like, oh yeah, I'm in it for the MMO, and then it's like then they play an expansion and then they play another expansion. They're like, wait a minute, like okay, well I can just play for the story and enjoy that. And it's like, yep, you can, which is a good thing. It's a strength. But it also, I think it's like, man, I really want more MMO. Like I really want a reason to continue to exist in the game. And this is something Chili and I've talked about for years. It's like, man, I like if they made XP have a value at level cap, like, it's not like there could be some simple things that it's like, yeah, I'd like to be able to do these things and push myself in these ways, but they haven't done it. Maybe they will, but as it exists now,
I want them to take more of a leap. I want them to just gut every single class and just remake and give them.
I would be happy if they didn't add a new job, with an expansion. They just said, hey, let's just
work on the ones you got.
Yeah.
Like, I want them to give life back into the classes, not make Warrior feel like Dark Knight, and not like Dark Knight feel like Warrior. I want them to have a sense of this is your class. Like, talking about the talent system, I would love to see a talent system. I would love to see old stuff come back, like Stone Skin, Protect. You have to,
dude. Yes. Well, even if it was like, I like the Lost actions because they can kind of do that.
Yeah, like bring in that. Bring in these other abilities and just try and make it work. Yeah, balancing's going to be in it, but it's a thing you can work on. It just seems a lot more fun. And I think that would make the leveling system kind of fun.
Yeah,
everyone's going to hate me for this, for what I'm about to say is...
Boo, Chili.
Everyone's going to hate me for this. but can we get the concept of Torghast in the next Deep Dungeon?
I don't hate you for
Okay,
that.
elaborate.
I don't mean like I don't want player power linked to Torghast. I mean to a Deep Dungeon because I feel like that unless it gives a basic gear set, like once you beat it, you get a basic end game gear set. I don't want it to be raid tier or even crafted tier, but just something that will get you because the whole point of Deep Dungeon is it helps you level up the job. So I would like the ability to gain a basic gear set for the job once you've beaten it, so that once you reach a fresh level 90, you've got a basic set of gear.
Yeah.
Not, as I said, I don't want it to be raid tier. I don't want it to be chased for power in any way. I would like it if you get your job to 90. Here you go. Here is a shiny piece again. It doesn't even have to be unique for every job. It could be, here is your generic tank set. Here is your generic healer set. Yeah, all the tanks have the same looking armor. They could do that. I don't see the problem with that. And in fact, that'd be good in a way, because that way, if you do let's say you level Paladin and then you level Dark Knight, you don't then have a complete unique set for Dark Knight and a complete unique set for Paladin, and that takes 2 sets of inventory slots for probably basically the same stats. Now, if they could use phasing gear or something to make it so it looks unique for each job, like they have. Like, can't you have the male and female outfits you do for the summer events where it's the same piece of armor, but it looks different? That would be interesting if they could do that with the armor sets. But that's going completely off topic. What I meant by Torghast, like, Torghast had all these different cool abilities you could get. Like, the sort of like, you had in 14 you had the Magicites, which gave you, and the Pomanders, which gave you like stat bonuses and just stat bonuses, and that was it. And then you had the summons. It'd be cool if you had like weird abilities that you could find from doing mini quests or killing enemies, or just find them in treasure chests, I guess, inside the Deep Dungeon. Maybe they'd add Stone Skin again. Maybe Stone Skin is added to Deep Dungeon, but you have to kill a specific enemy inside that Deep Dungeon, and then it has a chance to drop this item that gives you that ability.
Oh man, I really, for me, I hope
currency
that the
system where you could
have,
buy some of them.
I hope that they have
for the dungeon,
the like lost actions or something, where it's like, yes, just like they have, like, give players some choice in which, like, yep, I'm playing solo, but I can take this. Yeah, I can take a heal, or I can take, like, do these things, and I think that would be exciting personally to see.
And Torghast also had like random effects that I didn't really play Torghast that much, if I'll be honest. But I heard they had like random effect weeks where certain random effect seasons, wasn't it, Paul? Where they would have like different things go on during the dungeon run. And again, that would be cool if they could do something like that to Deep Dungeon. So, but make that an optional one, because that way it doesn't affect the solo runs. Because that would be a bit weird for. Have like the normal Deep Dungeon and have the seasonal challenge Deep Dungeon. So that way there's no RNG in the...
It would be a good idea. I'm not going to lie. It would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Like having like them like change abilities, or, say you get to pick up, you get to pick after every kind of floor, you get to pick an upgrade. I think that would be pretty
if it
cool.
wasn't like... What if it was like... Well, it doesn't even have to be every floor, but like maybe every boss floor. Like, then you'll start with the next floor if need be. Like, because or they could have like I know right now it's every 10 floors as a boss, but what they could do is have a mini boss on the 5th floor, and then have the main boss on the 10th floor, and then you get a minor buff on the 5th floor, and then you get the major buff on the 10th floor, and then you'll keep doing that, and then have like little ones that can have drop during each floor. Would that work, Paul?
But it's only get up to floor 100.
Yeah, up to floor 100.
They could just do it every 10 or every 5. You might have a chance to upgrade. But obviously, every 10, every boss floor, you get a permanent. I'd say that could work. Would people like it? That is a whole another kettle of fish.
Yeah.
Like, I would like it. It'd be fun. But would other people like it? That is a big question. Because, sorry, my dog keeps staring at me weird. With that, like, the balancing, again, everything has to be balanced. Nobody likes an unbalanced game.
Oh man, I kind of push back on that, right? Because like the people are like, oh, it's not balanced. It's like because then you like I think when balance becomes too prioritized, you get homogenization. Especially with the concept of especially with the concept of bring the player, not the class. And it's like those two things I think work actually against your interests, where it's like players do the efficiency, and it's like I think that balance comes more into play where every job has a strength and everything has a weakness. And then essentially, like these things kind of work against each other in that regards. And then if you have bring the class with a player, I think that's where you see things have strength and weakness. And the fact that you can change, like I would say that if they gave, I wish more like, I'm glad we're seeing where you can change your class, your job, like in content. And then it's like, okay, cool. Like then you could sit here and say like, well, oops, like, oh, let me swap to this because this isn't working. That's what we ended up running into last night. I was able to change my build because we were struggling with a certain fight. Changing my build ended up having a positive impact. And so it's like, yeah, okay, cool. Like this is more balanced for something maybe this kind of way. And maybe I need to swap to that. And that's where loadouts end up becoming such a huge thing. But Final Fantasy 14's already solved that with its gear sets, you know? Anyway, that's just my rant.
I don't know how long got you for, so we should start wrapping up, I guess.
Okay.
So I guess we've pretty much covered all the topics I was going to bring up. Really, if I'm honest, I think the only question I know this is going to by new world players. This is Final Fantasy 14. Sorry, one of the last questions I have is, well, I guess New World-ish. We've got the New World announcement for the Christmas event, but we still haven't heard anything about the Final Fantasy 14 Starlight event. I do hope we hear about it soon. But I'm guessing the next live letter will also be soon, so we'll probably hear from it then. So I'm excited. Those are the things I like. I like the little events like that, though I wish they were longer. And yeah, I also wish some of the old event items came back. But was that sorry, Paul?
Like how they would like it'd be kind of neat to see them build on each other, you know?
Yeah, Paul, what you were saying? Sorry,
Yeah, but aren't they out for like a month-ish? Like usually the events are out for like a good like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
So
we should hear about it soon.
Plenty of time to do them and have them up. If you miss it, you miss it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
no fault of ours.
Yeah.
Oh, favorite Christmas event? Go.
I don't remember them. They all blur together.
The one with the Christmas bear. Like
Oh,
when
that
they
was
do an
good,
event that has a mount, I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. No, mine was actually the orphan one where you were like giving gifts to orphan. You could do it like every day. You can
I
get,
still
like,
have those
cookies and
presents.
Yeah, and you get presents. You also
Like I haven't let them go.
You just
Yeah,
tell them
they
stories
gave-
of, like your past battles. Like I think that was.
They gave you gifts at the end of them, and I just put them in my retainer to keep forever.
Wow, and didn't even open them. They're just still in the box, you know.
Yeah, they're still in the box. Yeah, new in box. Gonna send them to PSA. Gonna get them graded.
Graded.
But if anyone knows the way to grade toys in England, I do have something I want to grade so badly. Anyone ever heard of a YouTuber called Ashens?
Yeah.
I have an Ashens figure. And he made a limited edition run of figures for the movie they made. So I have an Ashens and Dan action figure. And if anyone knows where to get toys graded, I know they probably won't grade it, but I really want them graded. They're still in box. So if anyone knows, please tell me. I want them getting graded, and then I can send them a message. Tried who?
UK graders.
Okay, I'll have to look it up.
Oh, the real guys
So-
got Lord of the Rings. Oh, WWF and WWE figures. I have a fuck ton of those.
Yeah.
So yeah, also remember that if you are taking a break from Final Fantasy 14, but you do want to come back to try the event if it comes back in time. I don't know if it'll come back in time, but if you've taken a break and you want to finish the previous story, or you want to try the new variant dungeons, remember that there is a free login campaign that's going on right now until the 16th of December, so you'll be able to play up to 96 hours for free. And I do find these interesting because I wonder how many people just wait until these campaigns at the end of the expansion and then power through all of the expansion stuff and then don't have to pay their sub.
It would be pretty worthy to do it. Come back for like a patch just to do the story when the campaign's out.
Well, not even just the patch.
That's
Just
a lot
wait
of
until like patch 6.55, and because there'll probably be a free login campaign before the expansion, and then you just finish everything up to there. So
Yeah, I could see a lot of people doing it just for the story. I think again, it's like the people that just do it for like the story, like the story game to them because they enjoy the story. They don't actually like the mo part of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is probably what a lot of people do. They play other games, but then like obviously we are in a. I was about to say we're in a recession.
What?
That's because in England we are in a recession.
Within the game, like this is the normal thing though. Like it's like people come and play the expansion and they'll come back for the pre-expansion hype, you know.
Yeah, it just happens. Like there is not a lot to do. I know a lot of people have like because I don't level jobs straight away because I know you, Chris, I call it a level-a-thon.
The level-a-thon, the Omni 90, yeah.
Yeah, the Omni 90 stuff. A lot of people did that, but like I wait because I knew that Deep Dungeon was going to come out and I could use that to level my stuff.
I'm right here, Paul.
Mm.
I am also Omni 90. Well, except for my crafters.
I'm not. I got like most of my tanks other than Dark Knight to max level.
Yeah, like
Not
it's
really
for me.
fun.
I enjoy the tanks, the healers, and the DP and the casters, and it's like like the melee and the range. I'm like, I don't really get that. I don't know, like a lot from that personally.
There's nothing to do. So it's like you're waiting, and look at all the games that have come out recently. Pokemon, God of War. Go just play another
Controversy.
game. Go play it.
Before we end the show, controversy.
Okay.
Endwalker didn't really hit me with emotions that much, even though I've been playing the game for 10 years. Because I have my brain is very it's logical is the only way I can describe it. Like if I know something,
my brain has words. It is smart.
I wouldn't even say it's smart. It's like I guess Endwalker spoilers here. Like the scene where everyone starts passing away. I felt sad at first, but as soon as it happened twice, my brain is like, remember that orb we got like 5 minutes ago? That's the plot device. I'm like, yes, okay. But with Pokemon, I nearly broke down. I really did nearly break. No spoilers, but I really did during one of the quests break down. You could hear it on the stream when I was playing it. That one of them nearly broke me. So that's the controversy. Pokemon hit me harder when it comes to emotions than most games.
Yeah. I cry when we're talking about cockfighting too. So
yeah. No, this was bad. Like I felt really bad, but I'm not going to say any more because Paul's playing for it right now. But yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
You need to be fair, that part where people are like disappearing, going away. It was first like the first time fine, but then you slowly kind of spoiled it.
Yeah.
Then you already had you already wouldn't know.
Anyway, this has been episode. Before we end this, right? Thank you again, Brian, for joining us.
Hey,
I hope you had fun. I hope you can.
This has been wonderful.
Hope you can come back on again. Hopefully we didn't scare you off. And for those that we didn't scare off, remember to go check out bonusroll.gg where we've got reviews. Thank you to everyone that reviews it. We've actually got a review from our previous guest, Chris. Chris Laverne, thank you so much again for joining us. He said, I like it. Another great podcast, wonderful host, amazing guest, very chill, and super fun. And also shout out to Wobsy. Great folks. Can't wait to be invited again to the podcast. And also to Snarky and on game releases where everything is Mass Effect. Yeah, if anyone that doesn't know, we reacted to an award show during the summer and we pretty much just called everything Mass Effect. As soon as it had space, it was Mass Effect. Oh my God, Mass Effect. No, it's this Callisto Project. No, it's Mass Effect.
Every time he sees a dragon.
Yeah, it's Dragon Age and space is Mass Effect.
Every award, every PlayStation.
Dragon Age.
Dragon Age.
Speaking of the dragon.
Speaking of Dragon Age, it's Dragon Age Day tomorrow. Okay, Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, best day of the world. So go play.
So by the time this goes live, it would have already happened.
Play Dragon Age. Just play Dragon Age. Also, watch a Netflix series that comes out soon, the 9th. So
a Dragon Age Netflix series.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to probably drive a lot of people to play Dragon Age.
It will.
Yeah.
If Cyberpunk is to be believed, yeah.
Well, because obviously they've already announced there's another game. It's called Dragon Age Dreadwolf. So maybe at the Game Awards, maybe.
Yeah, I hope I get on the list so that I can co-stream the Game Awards because that sounds fun.
They
I think anyone can co-stream. It's just officially you're counted if you applied. I've applied, but I'm going to stream either way. So
they're in alpha of the game. They announced that they're in alpha. So I'm like, we're going to be seeing something soon. So isn't that right, Heidi? Where are you? Are you behind me?
Are you behind me?
Also, I'll add, if you're a fan of Mass Effect and you do have a PlayStation, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition will be free on PlayStation Plus next month.
Woo!
So,
look like I've already.
Yeah. So yeah, but seriously, thank you, Brian, for joining us. Where can they find your content?
Best place to start. You can start with Work to Game, or you can start over on Ginger Prime, and then I have the channels all linked if you guys want to check that out. Also, we got 2 podcasts, Crystal Core Radio and Epic Loot Radio. And I think, and this week, actually, I'm going to have Hogue Law coming on the Epic Loot Radio. So we're going to be live stream that over on YouTube on Ginger Prime. And then, and then it gets put into MP3 audio format for everybody to enjoy. So You can do that. If you want to see my hot takes and spicy takes, I've been trying to become a Twitter troll. That's my goal for 2023. I put out a joke, and it was like, some people were like, "Oh, this is a joke. That's funny." Some people were like, "What?" So it's I was like, "Yeah, I'll start writing up some jokes and sharing them with the world." And then if you are in the Texas Fort Worth area, January 21st, come by, say hi. We can have a drink after the show, and it should be a good fun time. I'm gonna make some jokes. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. I need to get back on your show again someday. It's been forever.
I haven't oh my gosh, like you're 100% right. Like I was like, man, we haven't got to hang out. So this has been nice that we've been able to kind of sit back and chat.
Also, if you're not playing it, go play New World. Give it a try. I don't think it's discounted right now, but it was discounted during the event. Big shout again to Steam for that, by the way, because I bought it just before the event started playing it, and then after I started playing it, they discounted it. So awesome. I was really frustrated.
Oh, like they didn't give you the discount? I thought you were saying that they gave you the discount.
No, they gave it back later once I requested it. But
nice.
When I bought it, I was like, so big shout out to Steam for that, because I look, I just bought this game an hour ago, and then you put it on discount an hour after I bought it, and they're like, okay, here you go, here's your money back, and then I used the money to buy the collector's edition, as I said in my video. So nice. Much love to Steam. So yeah, I would suggest watch What to Gameplay fishing in New World right now.
I think I saw some people coming back and logging in, so I might go help them level up. I was like, nice. Yeah, I was like, yeah, fishing. I can hang out, podcast, and fish. This is enjoyable for me. I really like fishing in this game, and the leaderboard system that it's dropping soon. Like it's gonna track. I think they're only tracking legendaries for fishing, but for me personally, I was like, man, I really would love to see them just track all kinds of data, because we did the fishing tournament in the summer, and I'm gonna bring that back, and we raised like $2,500 for St. Jude's, and so if we have the leaderboard system, we can actually expand it so that I can say like, okay, guys, the fishing tournament is a week long. And everybody, like, that means no matter what time zone you're in, you can just submit, whatever the leaderboard thing is for your server. And then that way we actually have official totals. But if they're only doing legendaries, then that becomes a bigger challenge. And so that could be kind of the bigger meta for, who knows? We'll have fun with it.
And warning random numbers ahead. So just a heads up on this. We have a Spotify account for anyone that doesn't know. So big shout out to anyone that joins us on Spotify. And we had our Wrapped recently. I just want to shout out to, we got a growth. 69% of your listeners discovered you in 2022. So thank you to everyone for that nice number. Nice. We were heard in 14 different countries around the world. Our main countries were United States, Canada, Sweden, United Kingdom, and Greece. So big shout out to
like USA, Canada, all over English. Wow, British podcast, not even getting to the British audience.
So the big shout out to everyone that listens to us. And I think this is the biggest one for me. You're in the top 25% most followed podcasts. So thank you so much for everyone that listens to us. So yeah, thank you so much. Seriously, thank you. So yeah, go give us some love on Spotify. Leave us a review, maybe. I don't know if we've got any reviews on Spotify yet. So yeah. And as always, remember to follow us on YouTube and follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Moogle Radio. Paul, anything you want to say before we wrap up? Well, we are wrapping up, but anything you want to say goodbye?
We'll see you in we're taking a break for 2 weeks. We'll come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks after our break. Well, no, because we'll see you next week with the Game Awards.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
At 2:30 a.m. or 2 a.m. or whatever it was. Woo.
My face went to excited to that's the 10.
Bye.